Metal Slug.
Metal Slug 2.
I'm going to review the Metal Slug 2 CD SV-001. This was created by Degenerator Industries with licenses, obviously, from SNK. I just see that they're using the official Metal Slug logo. And we're going to take a quick look at the box here. There we go. And we're going to get a little zoom in of the box art here. You know, obviously, we have the official SNK logo here. And for those of you who are quick-eyed here, you notice that doesn't look like a tank anymore. So we're going to get into why this doesn't look like a tank in a second. Then there's the big boot. The big boot. More art product shots here. And then the final combined shot. Robot and tank together, and a nice bullet hole right there. It's because, you know, we're cool. On the bottom of the box, there's just some, like, you know, hey, there's bad things in here. And then the official logo, Metal Slug. Okay. So what you get in the box, you get a couple of things. All right. So this is the Metal Slug Tank. Yeah, this looks quite amazing. Never looked down the barrel. Okay, there we go. Let's just retab a couple of things back in here. But yeah, in all honesty, there's a lot of toys that are out in the world that are Transformers, and you can tell that they're Transformers, whether because you know the character or whether they just look like a Transformer. But this, if I didn't know that this was a Transformer, in all honesty, I wouldn't be able to tell that this is a Transformer. This would be just like a really cool, you know, piece of Metal Slug, you know, like action figure kind of rendition of the tank that's in the game. Obviously, these tank treads are not tank treads. You do have little wheels on it to assist in the rolling. If you want to just roll it down, like, I'm going to get you. But yeah, this looks amazing. And even if you even just display it like this would be a worthy piece to display in your collection if you just wanted a piece of cool Metal Slug, you know, like art or toy, you know, in your collection. There does a couple other things that come in here, so we're gonna go over. You get this, and there's actually a little bit of antennas missing right here. They give you a little baggie with the antennas and the screwdriver and the screws that are necessary. I didn't put them on just yet. As you see, we're gonna take a quick look at them, and the reason why, because I believe on some other copies it didn't come. It came with them on. And I'm going to really try real hard not to lose these tiny, tiny, tiny screws. But let's just take a look at this for a moment. We're just going to move them to the side. And hopefully he doesn't fall on the floor. And obviously you get this little screwdriver included. Come on. Focus. There we go. You get this little screwdriver included to attach them. But here is the little pieces here, if my camera would cooperate. There you go, camera. Here's the little antennas here. If I get here, there we go. These little antennas. This is hard plastic, so I'm not really worried about stabbing myself with it. I'm worried about this breaking. And I've heard other people who's reviewed this before mention that this is like it's thin plastic, and it's not one of those. It's not that flexible plastic. It's that really hard, normal plastic you would think like a regular toy or a Transformer will be made out of. Obviously, this isn't an official Transformer. This isn't an official character. This is just a tank it's a tank that turns into a robot. That's the Metal Slug Tank. So yeah, you get the left and the right side. You get the little L and R, and they can only go on one way. So, and if you put them on the tank, which I'm going to eventually, we might see that later on in the video where I'll just show them installed, just so you can get kind of the full view. The transformation is not that difficult in comparison to what this would be classified as a Transformer. But they would go right about here. They would go, here we go. They would go right here. So on the front of the tank, you'd see that there's a peg here, and there's a peg on the other side right here. And that's where these things would go. They don't move. They don't rotate back and forth. They are pegged in. Obviously, as you see, that this is an oval peg. and there's an oval slot on the antenna, so you would just kind of screw them in that way. Like I said, I would just be very careful of everything else on this. This feels rugged. I'm not concerned about, obviously, look, it's plastic. If you want to break it, you can break it, but I'm not concerned with anything on here that could be broken if handled correctly. Those antennas, you wouldn't realize you'd be kind of snapping them off by just moving something, and all of a sudden your antenna's in two pieces. So something to keep in mind of. The articulation on this thing is, so obviously it rolls. Like I said, well, it has little wheels on the bottom here. These little cannons here rotate. They actually come off. They're just on pegs. And there's a peg here, and then it just pegs in. So we're gonna utilize that later in a way that the game listen to me, the instructions don't really tell you about. But these barrels also rotate. There's like Gatling gun. Both sides they rotate. Same thing. These can just pop off. And this peg's pretty thick peg, so I'm not really worried about that peg as I start to untab things. The other cool thing is the barrel, the tank top, can literally move up and down. And if you actually look, it almost looks like there's like faux pistons here that kind of, and so make give you kind of like an integrated look. Now, the turret section here there's a hinge here where you can kind of give you an extra movement here, because it does kind of impact on the back of these smokestacks here. So if you want a little extra upward movement, you can, like I said, there's a hinge all the way deep down in there where you can kind of like move and kind of disengage that hinge there and be able to get a little bit more upward movement, because in the game, obviously, the tank was able to just shoot up and down. That's kind of cool that they give you these kind of little faux kind of hydraulic pistons. And then it just kind of pegs back down there. Kind of just rotates back down. And then all of a sudden the spotlight also, so the turret doesn't turn this way. It just is able to move up and down like this. Yeah, and this thing, and the other cool thing that technically rotates, but it's really tight on my version, at least one side is this little kind of like faux smoke launcher. Can spin if it cooperates with me. This side's really tight on mine, and I was hoping it would loosen up. It loosens up a little bit sometimes, and then it gets snug again. This side on mine, this is much more easy to move, but this does rotate. It's like I said, it's a little faux smoke launcher thingy. It looks like a little but yeah, this thing looked, like I said, if I didn't mention that this is a transformer, I would highly doubt that, unless you knew about it, that you could tell that this is a transforming robot. All the cool details, the paint, little paint apps here, and on the spotlight as being painted as gold. You got the kind of bronze coloring here. Mostly it's in that army gray. You got a little bronze here, the black barrels. Yeah, and you even got a little bit of detail down in here. You got a little hydraulic, faux hydraulic pistons down in here. And if you look at the side, now that you know this kind of transformer, oh wait, those are legs. But like I said, unless someone had mentioned it or you kind of knew ahead of time that this is a transformer, this thing is quite solid. I'm not afraid of untabbing most things unless you're like fotzing with it. Like I said, this thing here, this little thing is like really tight. I might unpeg something when I'm trying to rotate that. But you're not going to be rotating that all the time anyway. You may occasionally unpeg something from the back if you're like really pushing the turret way up there. Also, just watch out for scratching your paint back here, because it can impact all this stuff. You got your cool backup lights. None of these light up. And you got the little faux kind of like exhaust ports here. Nicely detailed. Like I said. And just in case you do get a power up. And like I said, so we've gone through almost everything that comes in the packaging. But then, just in case you need that power, you collect that heavy machine gun.
Heavy machine gun.
Okay, so now, so this is the LED kind of portion. Then you got the little light up feature. You'd think that some of these lights here, down here would light up, and then on the back, these don't light up either. But they almost look like they light up, but they don't. But that's the one light up feature here. And then just to deactivate it, you just hold it near it again. And it's just a magnet that can activate similar things on other toys that have similar other features. It's just a cool little like power up icon, and then also powers up the other thing that lights up on this figure. But yeah, even if you just want to display it like this, this is a solid. Like I said, if you're anywhere into the Metal Slug, yeah, this is cool. Just to give you a comparison of size, because I know you don't know how big my hands are. I'm just gonna move him back here and ignore my microphone stand. This is a Kingdom. I believe this is a Earthrise Optimus Prime in his vehicle mode, and this is also a Earthrise Megatron. Oh, we get him in frame. All right, come on, everyone move over. Everyone move over. Get over here. And that's a Earthrise Megatron in its tank mode. So they give you a size comparison. This is big. This is, like I said, this will be considered in your masterpiece scale. I will say it's slightly smaller than most masterpieces, but it's it's more in that world than this world. Yeah, let's go ahead and put those antenna on. So let's cut away here. Oh wow, something cool I just realized. Okay, here's the image. Here is the toy with the antenna on, and like I said, they are thin and they are hard plastic. So I'd be concerned. But something I just figured out is that I thought these were immovable, but they move as a unit. They move forward as a unit and they fold down, which may help you put them out of the way for transformation. I don't know. I not transformed this with them on there. So, but yeah, just keep in mind that they are pretty thin, so you never want to grab them this way and pull them. Always grab them by the base. If I could do this without covering the camera, there we go. And then you get the full experience. You get the full Monty with the antenna on there, and then Gatling guns. Because I'm a child. I'm a 40-year-old child. But now on to, like I said, if you guys want to see this transformed on camera, let me know and I can make a video of it. Right now, I'm not that good at it, so you do get instructions. You do get physical instructions, which are mostly pretty good. But here's the problem: I don't read any of these languages. So when they're telling you something, they're telling you in a language. I'm like, I think it's what it means. So obviously, they show you pictures, which is good. And the cool thing is that it shows you from robot. So it shows you from tank to robot, and then on the other side, it shows you from robot back to tank. It's nice to give you reverse instructions instead of having you figure it out. But this is in gobbledygook language for me. I don't read this language, so I use this, and I used a couple of videos online to help me through it. But here we go. So you can kind of get them in this kind of like weird, I have no head, my cannon is my head kind of mode. And the cannon in this mode still works, still the magnum.
Heavy machine gun.
You can have him in this mode with the guns attached to his shoulders, or you can have the guns attached to the little pegs on, so you can do this, which the instructions don't tell you can do, but it works. You can peg it to each one of his arms. I like this better. It's most likely how I'm going to display him if I'm going to display him. You can have him on the shoulders here. But you can go further beyond.
And this
What's he doing?
is to go even further beyond.
And then you get the final mode. This is how the instructions tell you to portray it, but you can technically have it as Cannon Face McGee if you really want to. And in this mode, the lights still work. And now we can kind of zoom in here. It doesn't show up quite as much as I'd like. As I zoom in on his eyeballs, see they're kind of glowing, and you see the eye slits are kind of small. But then you realize that this is a battle mask, and you can go complete Cyclops. I see everything. The face shield is a nice touch. Turn off. There we go. The face shield is a nice touch where you can have him kind of displayed this way. It's just the eyes aren't big enough for him to have the light shine through here. If I can get it to activate, see, it's not really bright enough. But this is why I probably, if I was displaying him and if I had the light on, definitely I would show him as the one eye that rule them all mode here. And like I said, the same thing. You can take these guns off. They're just on pegs. And you can attach them to his arms here. You know, just the standard point arms in direction, point which points weapons in direction, which shoots weapons. But yeah, let's take a quick look at this. Let's get the full Monty here going. There we go. But yeah, I have them displayed not in the way that the instructions say. The instructions kind of tell you that these rear sections of his arms, these little tread sections, are supposed to be kind of folded up back here. And these longer tread sections are supposed to be unfolded down like this. I don't like the way it looks. I mean, here we'll show him in the traditional way that the instructions tell you to put him in, because you know that's how we do things here. We do things traditionally, which is complete utter fabrication. This is the way he's supposed to look. I mean, don't get me wrong, when he's standing like this and not doing the gangster lean, you need to stop doing the gangster lean here. There we go. Well, he's still doing the gangster lean, but he likes doing the gangster lean apparently. You know, this looks fine. There's nothing wrong with this. And even if you look at the back, okay, yeah, the treads are kind of hanging low. That's fine. But when he does anything with his arms that is not to his side, you kind of have this weird thing floating off the back of his arm. And it's like if he has his arm out or something like that, you have this kind of like, you have this kind of weird thing hanging off the back of his arm. I'm not particularly a fan of that. And because the gun's up here, you can't have the tread up high. So it kind of gets in the way when you move his arm. So if we want to get him like here, it kind of gets in the way. So this is why I kind of tend to position these on the side, which then lets you put this little tread up. And these treads have a lot of little hinges, so you can kind of have this kind of go wherever you kind of want it to. And I just like to have it folded up, neatly tucked away behind his arm, so you kind of see it, but it also doesn't get in your way. And if you have this folded up, you're gonna have a little room here to kind of stick this thing up here and have it kind of stick out the back, or kind of have it down low, kind of however you want to do it. Especially when his arm is down, this helps you kind of tuck this out of the way so it looks like it's there, and it's there. It's going to be there. There's nothing you could do to get rid of it. And I think it looks cool. I don't like it hanging down like past his arm. That's just me. But yeah. Gatling guns. Machine guns. Destruction. Yeah, so let's go over articulation. Let's take this and well, I'll leave it there. And we'll take this and we'll put it here. Let's go over how articulated this guy is. So you have a head swivel, but it doesn't go too far because it starts impacting things on the side here. There's a little up and down movement, but it's not that much. Like, that's him looking up. Like, my neck. And him looking down. It's like, I can't see past my own chest. What's going on? I can't see anything. But yeah, and then he also has a little articulated helmet that flips up and down. Let's see. These little antennas technically move if you want to move it. But with everything kind of nearby here, I would kind of leave them up. His shoulder things, these little smokestack launcher things, these smoke launchers, they still spin. Like I said, the one on my copy, the one on the other side is super tight. And this one, come on. This one spins too, so that doesn't change. This little tank tread can move up and down. It can fold in on itself down and be out of the way, or fold up. This shoulder piece can swing out to the side. Swing out to the side here, and it can also rotate to help you get into any position that it needs to be in for you to pose in any way. So I can have his shoulder there. I can have it, I believe it even rotates backwards, but everything else is in the way. Yeah, it rotates back too, so you can have it come back. Let's just flip this up for the time being. And his arm is on a ratchet. It goes all the way out here until it starts kind of impacting things. And like I said, you can move the shoulder piece out in a way that you can get his shoulder. This is as far as it goes. He goes all the way out to the side. Full 360. There we go. And you just gotta be careful when you're rotating the arm. This is something that I noticed when messing with it. The arms are on this kind of U joint. So when you're transforming him, the arms kind of set forward down and they lock into place. They don't really tab in. They just kind of like there's a spot for them to hang out. So as you're rotating the arms, you can easily pull this whole assembly back. So just is something to be mindful of when you're kind of messing with the shoulders, especially on my copy. Most of the joints are really snug and some could be considered too tight. But just be careful when you're rotating him to kind of hold his other shoulder in place. And as you're messing with it, because like I said, these ratchets are super tight, which is a good thing, but there is something to be said about having a joint too tight and the potential could break on you because you have to put so much force on it. On the back, you have this tank tread, which has multiple joints of articulation. They help you kind of fold it out of the way if you want to. Like I said, the instructions tell you to have it hang out at the back like this, but it does have the capacity to kind of fold up and out of the way. And like I said, I just like the tucked away version better, but that's me. It's an aesthetic thing. I really like it where it's squished away and it just doesn't affect the arm as much. Obviously, since we pegged these in, these can rotate and they still have the same articulation. We can rotate this gun. Okay, you get it. The elbow, there's actually two separate elbow joints in here. I wouldn't call it a butterfly joint because there's actually two independent joints working in conjunction with one another. But you have this elbow joint, which moves about 50%. Let's see. Let's move this out of the way. Come on. You see, some of these joints are super tight, and it's fighting me back. It's fighting back. So you get a little more than 90 degrees here, but then you also can move this other fist independently. You can actually get a full bend here, which is actually two, like I said, it's actually two separate joints. One of the cool things I found out is that as you move this fist forward, as you move his forearm up, you kind of reveal more detail, which is kind of a cool thing they didn't have to include. So if you look at the underside of his arm, you know, you see, oh, it's tank bits. But as you move this up, there's another piston hidden in there. And that's a little cool little nod there. They didn't have to, they could have just left this empty, but they put in the effort, an extra effort to go ahead and put this little like articulating piston hidden away in there that you wouldn't actually know about until you actually fully articulate his arm. Kind of cool. But yet again, super tight joints. Just be careful with it. And these are just pressure. They're not ratcheted. They look like they're ratcheted because there's lines in here, but they're not ratcheted. The shoulder definitely is ratcheted. Okay. Let's see. The hand. The hand can rotate because, you know, it can. The fist can do a little bit of back and forth, not a lot, but there is a limiter there, the way his fist is designed. Let's get in. Let's zoom in here. The way his fist is designed here, there is a little bit of back and forth movement, but it stops kind of like right there, and there's no more movement to move his wrist any further back. He's got a thumb on two hinges. The base hinge, let's give him a big old thumbs up. The base is on a ball joint, and that technically means you could, in theory, rotate his thumb. I am not going to attempt it anymore. I tried kind of wiggling this with this ball joint. I mean, I can move it down and up like this. I can move it down like this and up, but it's mega tight, and I don't want to risk snapping his thumb off. I was going to give him a big old thumbs up, and that's about it. But he does have this hinge here to do this movement. But in theory, you should be able to rotate this because it's a ball joint. But I'm not gonna play with it too much. Each finger has two hinges on it. Let's get all of his hands out. He can't splay his fingers. He doesn't have this. He doesn't have this motion. He can't splay his fingers like this, but he can move them like a mitt. But each finger has two hinges, one at the knuckle and then one at the base. And he can do that where each of his fingers Come on. Well, like I said, super tight joints, which is a good thing, but also when you're talking about small pieces like this, it could also be a detriment because one of these days I'd be like, oh, I could just move his finger, snap. So that's what my fear is. I haven't had anything break on this yet. But you can get all the fist for punching, fist, all that great fist action. More details revealed back here and in here. The treads behind his arms. These don't articulate. These are just kind of permanently part of his arm. Cool thing. Let's work our way down. He does have waist rotation, and he kind of do it all the way around. It's actually part of his transformation is to rotate around. And he also, if I move his arm out of the way, he does have an ab crunch, and actually a quite decent ab crunch, which, funny enough, he balances this way. Quite deep ab crunch. And on one of the reviews that I read, they said that, come on. One of the reviews I said, I watched actually indicated that this base plate here was on upside down for their copy. It is happily right side up for my copy, but something to watch out for if you do pick it up. This plate can be upside down for some copies. Let's just hope that this is the correct orientation. So some of the plates actually are upside down, but that could have just been for kind of like a preview copy. I'm not sure. I have no idea. All I know is when I got my copy, it's the first thing I checked when I transformed him. Is this plate in the right orientation? And it happily was. So something to watch out for. Let's see. And then we got the legs. We got this much forward motion here. Can we go further? Can we go further beyond? Okay, so it's as far forward as that, and as far back, and you move this ass plate out of the way, and as far back as this. Like I said, his kind of ass plate gets in the way a little bit, but you can, that technically the ass plate rotates and gets out of the way if you needed to. I will say I knew this was going to be hard, but damn. Technically, he has a knee pad that moves up and down. I just keep it up to kind of just cover the joints. Let's see, how deep is his knee bend? His knee, a little more than 90 degrees. It does what it needs to do. He does have a thigh rotation here. So he can put his leg all the way around. Ah, my leg! And at his foot, he does have a little bit of tilting. So when he puts into these poses, he can keep his feet planted. And he does have a heel, which actually is quite ingenious how they did the heel here. He does have a heel support piece right here. Actually, and you see that is shining. That is a piece of die-cast metal. There is die-cast metal. His hip is die-cast. There's a die-cast throughout. You can definitely tell that the shoulders are die-cast, is die-cast throughout this thing. This is not a light figure by any stretch of the imagination. His toe can bend down due to transformation. His heel can bend down also due to transformation. Like I said, there is a heel support piece right there. And they have a little bit of, I would say I would want more tilting of his foot here, but this is what we get. So he can assume poses where you need this to keep his feet flat. All right, so now it's all transformed up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a comparison of two different figures so you can get a size comparison. Now, keep in mind, what I'm going to show you isn't masterpiece sized or masterpiece quality. I'm not comparing the two. I'm just giving you an estimate size comparison. So here is Earthrise Optimus Prime. Earthrise and Kingdom Optimus Prime are exactly the same. It's just that's the Earthrise version. And then here he is a leader class, I believe. And here is Voyager Megatron from Earthrise, just to give you a size comparison, see how much bigger now. And here's the other thing, which is something I can't show on camera. Relative weight. This is pretty light. Megatron is pretty light. This guy's thick. He's got metal. He's got die-cast parts in his joints. He's got die-cast parts on his hips and his shoulders, his heels, and the sporadically throughout this figure. There's going to be die-cast in this figure. There's not going to be die-cast in either one of the War for Cybertron figures. But this is, like I said, this is just to give you a size comparison. Yeah, this is a cool thing. Whether you decide to display it in this mode, whether you decide to display it in the tank mode, whether you decide to shift it back and forth, whether you decide to give it whether you decide to display it in the tank face mode, which isn't an official mode, but whatever. This is a definitely good figure. This is something, if you like Metal Slug, this is a really good figure. If you like Transformers and you're like, I don't even know what Metal Slug is, this is still a solid figure for what you get. And he's giving a thumbs up. I'm going to give a thumbs up because I think this thing is just awesome.